Hey everybody, and welcome back to Indie Film Cafe. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got two awesome guests here. They've been on the show once before together, but they've been on, I think, multiple other times before. So please welcome Mark D. Valenti. How you doing, Mark?
Fantastic. I'm here with my little cat Burger. So he's going to be hanging out with us for a bit.
So your cat's name is Burger?
Yes, my kids named it. Not my choice of a name, but that is the choice.
Hey, you know what, kids get their choice. All right, awesome. And we got Anna Xaden here. How you doing, Anna?
Good. How are you?
Doing great.
Awesome.
So the movie that I decided to pick was something I've had on DVD for like a long time, like since I probably started collecting like B movies and stuff. I've had this movie because like I went on a Corey Haim like trip once and was like looking up every movie and I found, Fever Lake, the movie that we're doing for like $5 or something on Amazon Prime, on Amazon, like yeah, on whatever used and new and stuff. So I bought it and I never watched it. So, but I've heard things, and I think that's why I never watched it was because I heard some pretty bad stuff about this movie, but I didn't know too much about it. So thank God. But we're gonna talk about this movie, Fever Lake, after we come back after listening to some mood music. And we're back. All right. So I'm guessing this was your guys' first time watching this. Am I correct on that?
Yep.
How about you, Mark?
Yeah, I would say, Jonathan, that you've introduced me to multiple movies I've never even heard of before. So this was definitely in that category. So
Hmm.
yeah, the first time.
Well, I mean, sometimes I do it for like what we do it for Quick Review Thursday, or we've done it for Indie Film Cafe. I picked this for you especially because you guys both asked if you guys could come back on the show together because you guys had such a great time the last time, and I guess you guys were talking about it or something. I was like, yeah, that sounds wonderful, and you actually caught us at a great time because last season, Paul was doing every episode with me, period. Like, and I think he said at the end of it, he was like, kind of want to have a break. So if you want to have people come on and not have me on the show, that's fine, but that's not going to be you know, every time or whatever that I have a Zoom meeting. It's just going to be, I think it's going to be like 3 to 6 episodes this season. And so I decided, and also we decided that season 8 was going to be a bad month. There's going to be a lot of bad movies on this or whatever, or close to it. So I wanted to keep a lot of them in the 20s, and above, and whatnot in the stinkometer score. So I remembered that Mark had watched Crack in the Floor, which was a movie starring Mario Lopez, who's in this movie, and Gary Busey and some other people. And I was like, all right, I think I'll pick Fever Lake because it's been something on my mind. And Anna said she had never seen this movie, even though she was a big fan of Corey Haim. So you're
Mhm.
surprised about that, right?
I am very surprised.
Yeah, I think that's hilarious. And
Yeah.
so I think this is going to be awesome. This is going to be a fun show to talk about. So, first off, I kind of want to give a little background. I'm going to be cheating here and looking it up. But there's a director. The director is Ralph E. Portillo, and he's more of a producer than he is a director. Now, he's directed a lot of movies, but he's also produced, I think, 51 titles. And he's directed, I think, 30 something, if I'm correct. 29, so close to 30. Um, but he's also directed a movie that I can't wait. There's a couple movies I can't wait to do on Indie Film Cafe. One's called Bloody Murder. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that one.
Mm-mm.
It's a camp slasher kind of movie.
Huh.
It's very Friday the 13th, like a literal. It's like I think it's like Friday the 13th meets Scream because it like came out around 2000, so it was that time period where they were trying to do both. Um, and then he also directed another Mario Lopez movie called Big Brother Trouble, which I want to do, which is a bad kids movie, and whatnot. But he did Fever Lake. He's done a lot of these like sort of Skinamax type stuff, like a movie called Bare Exposure, Malibu Summer, things like that. And then but he's produced a lot of movies. What was the one that he had produced something that I saw that I was like, whoa, you produced that? Because he actually, yeah, Resurrection of Gavin Stone, which is a indie film I saw on there. I think it was one of the newer ones. No, I guess not. I guess he's co-produced the TV show The Chosen, which is like I'm sure you guys have heard of that.
Mhm.
Um, he co-produced 15 episodes of that.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, he also that was it. He co-produced Fighting with My Family, which was a really big movie with Florence Pugh and
Hmm.
stuff. So
I've
yeah,
never heard of that one.
yeah, it's like based on I think Rousey or something.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, or no, it's no, former wrestler Ricky and his wife, whatever his children. Yeah, it's a WWE movie. So I guess it's about a WWE person. So I was
Hmm.
wrong about that. But it's a wrestling movie. But anyway, it so he did those. He did not write this movie. I don't think he writes any of them. Um maybe maybe he's mainly a director and producer. So he's also the writers were Michael Edwards, um, which he also did a movie called Naked Lies, like right after this one, and he's wrote a movie called The Sheriff, which is not out yet. It is in post-production at the moment. So yeah, I guess he took a break from 1998 to now. I sometimes, you know what, it's because like it's hard to get anything. I mean, he probably wrote so many scripts and just nothing happened. Um, J. Lee Bailey was that was his name. J. Lee Bailey, also wrote Naked Lies, wrote a lot of yeah, Bare Exposure, Midnight Temptations, a lot of like Skinamax type flicks. You guys
Stuff.
remember Skinamax
Yeah.
back in the day. So it also starred, as I said before, it starred like Bo Hopkins, who plays the sheriff. Um, we'll get into him a little bit, but I'm sure you're familiar with Bo Hopkins, Mark, are you?
Hmm.
Okay,
I mean,
Bo
maybe.
Hop
Yeah.
what?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Well, he was in like The Wild Bunch, Midnight
Oh yeah.
Express,
Yes.
American Graffiti. I mean, this dude's been in big movies, and then
Mhm.
he was in this movie. Um, Corey
Mhm.
Corey Haim, I can pretty much say we all know who Corey Haim is,
Mhm. Well,
Lost
yeah.
Boys and
But
what?
I will say that in watching Corey Haim in this film, I'm thinking, like, what happened to him, right? Because he was in these major Hollywood productions, including The Lost Boys, as you said, and was he in in Babysitting? Was he in that?
No, but he
Oh,
was in, yeah, he was in like Lost Boys, License to Drive,
Oh yeah, License
um,
to Drive.
and then he did like I think
Dream a Little Dream.
Dream a Little Dream
Right,
and
right.
like
Uh,
one and two, I believe.
So he
mhm.
was in all of these major Hollywood productions, and then just seeing him in this. And listen, obviously, I'm not biased against independent movies because obviously I've done many of them myself. But it's just like, wait, what happened to him? And
Mhm.
I know there was like the whole conspiracy in Hollywood about allegations of you know
Abuse
sexual
and
predation, abuse, and right, exactly. So I have no idea like what that is, and it's just like what happened to him that he was. And again, no offense to Fever Lake, but he was in Fever Lake. Like what
yeah.
happened to him? Uh,
He was also in another movie that Samantha Marie, myself, and I think Jackie Hall reviewed called Busted that Corey Feldman directed.
Oh,
And
geez. Okay.
the funniest thing was Samantha sent Corey Feldman a message on Instagram. So we're gonna review this movie, and he goes, "Why?" Like of all my movies. And I
Oh,
get that a
geez.
lot, actually. I get that a lot where I
Wow.
might message somebody that like Sarah French or something, be like, "Hey, we're reviewing this movie," and she'll be like, "Why? Why not my better movies that I do?" And I'm like, "Well, it's kind of part of the show, We kind of we look for the movies that are obscure, you know, harder to talk about, whatever. I mean, Fever Lake's accessible because it's on Tubi, but
Hmm.
it's
Sure.
not very talked. I mean, the only thing it's known for is that it's been on um Riff Tracks. So Riff Tracks covered it, And so we usually try to do the ones that Riff Tracks don't even want. But Riff Tracks has been doing the ones that even Riff Tracks don't normally want. So, like they're going, so sometimes it's just like, I've been wanting to do this movie because I've known the reputation of it and stuff, and I just hadn't seen it. So I didn't know. But and it was said Mario Lopez, he was AC Slater on Saved by the Bell, and at that time, I mean, he was still on top. Like he was still doing good. I mean, maybe he
Yeah.
hadn't gotten like the Access Hollywood or whatever, gigs and stuff, but he was doing very well for himself. Like I don't understand why he also took this movie. I think there was a time period where he was doing a lot of indie films like A Crack in the Floor, and he was doing these like one we covered last year was called East Side, and where he's like a gangster, but he wasn't a gangster. He was like the nice guy who got turned into a gangster and kind of felt sorry about being a gangster. And I was like, oh, like but like you see these movies and you know you're like wondering what happened. Like exactly like Corey. Like what happened to make them
Right.
and I wonder if a lot of it was drugs, or at least for Corey's sake of stuff, because he
Mm.
was sort of known for that, that's not like hidden, stuff or whatever.
Right.
Um
Of course.
so I what?
I said, of course. Yes, you're
Yeah.
right.
And I mean, it was sort of drying up for him for Hollywood at that time. He did movies like Demolition University, and a lot of other like indie flicks that I think he was trying to get away from being the two Coreys with Corey Feldman, and then
Right.
he ended up going back there like right before his passing, before his overdose or whatever, he sort of I think it was an overdose. Don't quote me on that because that's
I think so. I think you're right.
yeah, I think it isn't it was pneumonia. I'm sorry,
Oh.
pneumonia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's pneumonia that he died of, but I mean, I think it's drug related um stuff. So but he sort of was this, guy that I as a kid looked up to. Not just because of Lost Boys, but License to Drive was like one of my favorite movies. I'd watch that over and over again. And I love both those guys. Corey Feldman sort of had a better career as a kid, being in a lot more like
Yes.
Goonies, Gremlins, Friday the 13th Part 4, like whatever,
Stand
right?
by me.
Stand By Me. I
Right.
mean, he was in so many iconic films in the 80s and 80s mainly. And then the 90s, it became him and Corey Haim, and then sort of both of them sort of became indie guys,
Hmm.
doing indie stuff. And now Corey Corey Feldman I saw somebody show a picture of him having a gold record or something, that was like number 32. One of his songs was like number 32 on the radio or whatever. I don't know how that's a gold record, but he had like a thing, and I was just very impressed, like this is what what he loves to do. Go for it. But and sadly, Corey Feldman, Corey Haim, no, Corey Haim passed away in 2010, and Bo Hopkins just passed away in 2000 and 22.
Hmm.
So that's kind of sad that they're both no longer with us. Um, and Mario Lopez still kicking, still making whatever he's making. And all the other girls and stuff, we're gonna get into their characters, but not many of them are big. A lot of them stopped acting like right after this. I don't know if it was this movie. Like this movie was cursed, just like the storyline. But anyway, who wants to go to tell us like what this story is about? Anna, do you want to try?
Well, pretty much they go to a lake and everybody starts to tell them why they shouldn't go to this house on the lake, but they keep getting interrupted. And then finally they little pieces kind of tell apart of it. And I don't know. It's like it's not a good movie.
Yeah.
It like it took me a second to figure out who was actually the killer after a while. Nothing happens for a very long time, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden this ghost wolf attacks, which I was wondering, is it Native American who looks German? Is he controlling the wolf? And then after that, nothing
I
happens
mean,
again.
that
And then
sort of
the
doesn't
lights
make any
go
sense
out, and that's
even.
when all this stuff happens.
So that doesn't even make any sense either. That the Native American would be the one attacking. He's the one trying to warn
Yeah,
everybody.
I
Like,
don't know. I was
I,
like,
it got very
because every time
confusing.
they showed the wolf, they showed him staring into the fire. I was like,
Right.
maybe he's controlling it. And then it attacked the girl, but then the girl's like got this invisible thing attacking her. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm
We'll
confused
get to
now.
that particular part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then it's like there's a possession, it seems, in the house after the electricity goes out. And everybody dies but one girl, and nobody knows. They never touched on where the one girl went.
No. That was
So
just,
I'm like, where'd the girl go? Just like
and which
hiding.
one was it? Because
The
was
short
it,
hair girl.
are you sure? Because
No.
I thought she got killed by
They
him.
showed the axe hitting the car, but then when they talked to the lady at the diner or wherever it was, I think it was the diner.
Oh, are you talking about the
They said
blonde
something
short
about
hair?
there were three girls. Yeah, the blonde short hair girl. They
Okay.
talked about there were three girls, and the cop guy said, no, there's two. There were only two. And that
Yeah.
that's how they
No,
left it. So
yeah,
I
they
was
don't,
like, wait,
you
I
don't
don't
ever
get
see
it.
her again, or
No.
anything.
So
Yeah.
where'd she go?
She
And
quit.
then turns
She
out
quit
Corey
acting.
Haim's
She
character
was
was
just like, I'm done.
crazy. Yeah, Corey Haim's character was insane.
Yeah.
I don't know. There is a lot not explained that I want to contact the people that made it and be like, explain this. So,
I want this on Blu-ray so there could be a commentary. I would buy it just
oh
for that
yeah.
commentary and everything.
Like
Uh,
one, where'd the girl go? Where'd the wolf come from? Why why did the Indian look like he was burning up and then all of a sudden he's at the house? It's just so much confusion.
I know. Mark, this was a weird movie, right?
Yes,
It
very.
was.
What, Mark, can you tell us like what, so she filled in a lot of the blanks, but were there anything that she left out that you were like, what
I
is
think,
going
and I apologize because I actually have the hiccups, which I hate, by the way, because I can't get rid of them. So excuse me for that. I actually, as far as very specific details, I hated that the sheriff wore jeans and all of this.
Yes.
Oh my
Very,
gosh, he
what a
did.
sheriff. Well, you know what I really pissed me off was like they had a Fever Lake ambulance, right?
Mm.
And I'm like, that makes it look like a high production value, they had Fever Lake sheriff cars, or whatever. So you thought, oh my God, this is a big production.
Yeah.
I would think so, but yeah. So, and listen, I've been in many films where I played police, police officers before, and we never wore jeans. We always had to wear, you know, black pants and black shoes and everything. So I think that was just a very, very minor detail, but it was still distracted me.
Yeah, you were just like, what the fuck's up with that pants? Like,
Well, and also, Jonathan, you and I have talked about this before. Whenever police officers or military personnel wear the American flag, if it's the opposite way, you're always supposed to have the stars facing forward, no matter
mm,
what. So I think it's just a minor detail, but the idea is because you're always supposed to show the American flag moving forward instead of retreat. So I think just minor details to that, and I've worked
Mm,
on many sets before where the American flag was flipped around, but the idea is, and you've seen it, and including in major Hollywood productions too, where the stars are supposed to be moving forward
mm-hmm.
and not reverse. So it's just I think his whole outfit actually it's such a minor detail in the whole purpose of the whole movie, but like I just there's just little stuff like that that annoyed me, including his jeans as
Did
well.
this movie give you the hiccups? Is that it? Is that what happened?
No, I don't know what happened. Sorry, I apologize.
No, it's
I
okay.
apologize. And my cat just
Uh,
came back too, so
yes, Burger wants to hang out with you, some more.
so,
Um, but yeah, yeah, it was such a funny thing for me. So yeah, well, I guess we'll go into the whole story. So it begins with a, like at the house, and I guess this is sometime before they don't specify when it was or whatever. It doesn't say 1992 or, or something, or whatever. So, or it wouldn't be 92, but you know what I mean? Like it's supposed to be 80s, so they were definitely not wearing 80s clothes necessarily, you
Mm-mm.
know. Because you find out that that's the kid from the beginning of the movie, which I knew like straight from the beginning that that was Corey Haim was the kid, and that's why you invited him back to this house and everything, like this is not something that hasn't been done like a billion times before. So the idea is like that the mother is being attacked by the father. The father is cursed with something, or whatever. She's trying to escape. She almost escapes, but he catches her and he comes out and he kills her. And then he comes after the boy and he sees the boy and he says, "You got the curse too." Right? I'm like, how does he know that? Like, I mean, it wasn't a family thing. This isn't genetic. This was, like, whatever. So they both have like the green eyes that pop up, or whatever. So I'm like, okay, so that boy, whatever. Later, it says he was an orphan and that he murdered his father, but we never see any of that, you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't remember seeing him actually murder his father, unless I missed something, but yeah, so then we cut to years later at the school. And it's kind of sucky because I'm always kind of a sucker for those like almost lifetimey kind of scenes, where like the transitions to like going to the school and stuff like that. Like, but you meet the normal people in the group or whatever you meet Corey Haim who's running in like long clothes, and I'm like, did they really make him run in like huge, like who does that? Like I don't know if I've ever seen anybody actually run track not with like, like short sleeves or something, like and shorts. Usually you have shorts. I mean, I don't know what was going on there. Um, but they were doing track, and I guess he won and give everybody five and head out with Mario Lopez. And Mario Lopez, oh, before then we meet the other girl, the one that lived, you know, and she gives him a kiss, and he thanks her for the kiss, which I thought was weird, or whatever. Thank you for the kiss. Like, that's just like this guy is awkward and weird. Did you guys get that from the beginning?
Not that he was the kid, but yeah, he was weird.
I got it
I thought he
right from
was
the
like a geek
beginning.
at first. I thought he was going to be a geek at first, and then it's like he's trying to be the cool guy. So I said, okay, well, this is going to be a shift of a character.
All the characters were like shifts or like they were like the one guy was described as like a hornball or whatever. And
Hmm.
the whole time he doesn't say anything about sex or anything to like they're like, oh, he's so sex like they say in the locker room that he's so sex, crazed and blah blah blah. Then you meet him and he's just an idiot who wanted to call his mom and tell his mom that he couldn't make it home, which had no effect on the movie whatsoever. Like, was no purpose to the movie, you
Yeah.
know, right? Like that never comes back up or never is even whatever. So it was just,
Hmm.
I guess, a way to say he was a mama's boy, but like, who cares? Like, why did we need that? Why did we need him to go to the phone and then do that? Like, it made absolutely nothing. Um, and then we meet the other girls, and the one girl was it Sarah? Was that her name? I want to say that was her name. The girl who's like writing the book. Yeah, Sarah. She's writing the book on the story of the of Fever Lake or whatever. And she has a bug crawling like a freaking um what is it? A tarantula it look like on
Hmm.
her. And so Mario Lopez, being the nice guy as his character is, scoops him up and takes him outside, and then Corey Haim steps on him. I was so upset about that. I'm like, why? You know, like,
Corey Haim.
well, his character was evil, I guess, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but he didn't do it like evilly. He just stepped on him, you
Hmm.
know,
But
and
then the
everything.
spider came back
What?
when up in the attic or wherever that girl was, Sarah, when
Yeah,
she was like possessed, the spider started crawling out of the mirror area.
I didn't even notice that.
Picked her
Holy
up.
shit. That was,
Picked the spider up.
oh, okay.
Yeah. Like she
Jeez,
wasn't
I missed
scared of
that.
it. That was
Well,
towards
she
the
was
end.
when she was like possessed by the mother,
Yeah, yeah, that's what I
yeah.
when she was possessed, the spider came back.
What did you think about the spider squash,
I
Mark?
was surprised about it actually because I can't even imagine. I mean, living in Pittsburgh, we don't have tarantulas here, so
Right.
I can't even imagine
What would you
seeing a
do if a
tarantula.
what would you do if one of them were on you? Would you
I
squash it?
don't know. It's a good question. It's a good question.
I don't think I would, just because like they're so big that I'd be afraid, like if I tried to squash it, that it would somehow figure out how to get around and try to
Right,
bite me
right.
and shit.
Yeah.
Because they'd be more
I would just
aggressive.
I would just pick it up and put it away and walk.
I'd run.
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
like tarantulas, man. I like big ass spiders. They kind of
I
freak
was
me out.
I was forced to hold one time and they told me they're like, look, you got to keep your hands moving like this, otherwise he's going to bite you. If he sees the ground, he's going to bite you. I was like, why you tell me this after I pick him
What
up?
do you mean he's going to bite you?
Huh?
What do you mean he's going to bite you if you don't do that?
Tarantulas can bite.
No,
And
Right,
I
they
know
and
they
they're
said
can
that
bite.
this
poisonous.
one, they said that if he saw the ground, because he was about a foot off the ground, they said if he saw the ground, he thought he was going to fall. He was going to bite into me. I was like, does he normally do that? And they said, yeah. I was like,
Well,
why do you
Wow.
let me hold this thing? So, I mean,
well,
here I
why
was
did
just like, I worked a ladder down to the floor. I was like, I put him on the floor. I said, I'm done. And I got up and I walked out.
I swear
Well,
I
again,
These
as much
same
as
people had a snake they made me hold too. So I was like,
oh,
man, you're
geez.
really pushing
you
my
were
limits.
you are now telling me all the things I'm scared of, and you're like that's scarier than this movie, you know, like your story right there. That's terrifying.
Yeah,
I
as much as Pittsburgh has horrible weather in December, January, February, March, we don't have any of those major tarantulas or scorpions or anything else like that. So I'm glad about that. So
Yes.
Virginia, all I'm really worried about is like brown recluses and or black
we have those here
widows,
too.
you
Yeah,
know.
same here. And
We have
Um,
those here too, and
we
also
had a copperhead in our yard a few weeks ago and a black king snake.
And you know what? I remember I worked at like a water park, outdoor water park, and there was a snake in the water, like in the water park and stuff.
Like,
And I didn't know, but the one of the guys was like, "Get out, John! Out, out, out!" Right quickly. And the thing was like apparently close by me. I didn't even realize it and stuff.
uh-uh.
And so he killed it instead of putting it back out in the thing. And I asked, why do they kill it? And they said because if you don't kill it, they'll just come back, and stuff. And so I usually feel bad for like critters and stuff, but I'm sorry if there's a spider in my house, I and if I can't, help it outside, I will kill it because I don't want it crawling on me or doing anything. Now, spiders are good generally because they kill other insects and other stuff or whatever, and they're good for that. But like, not in my house. We don't need that shit. Get
Mm-mm.
out.
I go
Um,
get my mom and tell her get rid of it.
yeah. So anyway, so yeah, there's the tarantula thing, the situation, and then they all get ready to go and they're going off on their trip. And so they're going off to Beaver Lake, where apparently there's only one house in Beaver Lake, it feels like. Because like they're like, oh, I'm going to that house in Beaver Lake. And they're like, that house, don't go to that house. That's a bad house. I'm like, wait, there's only one house? Like what? Like this is very confusing. Like, because that one girl said she lived in Beaver Lake, you know, Lila. So how do they know that that was particularly, is it the only house that's like available for people to go check out? I don't know, but all of them knew exactly. And my favorite bit is that the girls go to that one place or whatever, while the boys are pulled over by the sheriff. Um, do you guys think he was speeding, or do you think he wasn't?
I don't think it was.
I don't think he was. I think the sheriff just knew they were out of towners and pulled them over.
And that happens sometimes.
Especially in small towns where they don't know you.
Mm.
They're like, "What you guys doing over on this side?" Like he
Oh,
was
yeah.
telling them, "Go to the cabins," on the
Yeah.
other side. But then the girls went into the what is it? The cafe, and in the cafe they were like, everybody's being weird. I'm like, they just looked at you. They don't know who you are. They're not being weird and creepy. Like, you know what would have been good had they gotten close-ups of all the people looking
Hmm.
creepy at them and stuff. But the way they shot it was just like everybody was looking at them, and then it just followed a whole group of people, like looking at them, and it didn't really give the effect of being creepy. Now, if they had done close-ups and everybody was looking at them like, you know, like what are you doing here kind of thing, that would have given me, creepy vibes and everything.
Yeah.
It
Well, I
was
think when you look at the movie Duel, either of you seen that from
I
Steven
have,
Spielberg?
yeah, the Steven Spielberg movie, right?
Correct.
I don't think
Yes.
I've seen it.
What? Yeah. You got to see it. It's fantastic. It's
It's
whenever
before
he's trying.
Jaws, like it was one of his first. Actually, it was his
It
first
was the
movie.
first one, right? It was
Oh,
fantastic, fantastic. I highly
nice.
recommend it.
I'll check
But
it out.
but but he goes into the diner trying to like figure out who this driver of this truck is, because basically this driver of this truck is harassing him on the road and everything. It's a precursor to Jaws, and that's the scene where they show all these like just random people, just these close-ups. Jonathan, if that's what you're talking about,
Yeah,
just like looking at him is what I think
yeah.
about.
And that's a good example of how you do it. You get these
Yeah,
close-ups of all these people and these
right,
people staring at you, and then that's it. That's all you need. And it's a very simple thing, but they did not do that. And
right.
They
and,
even
and
did that in a movie called Sometimes They Come Back Again.
that's
Yeah.
true. That's
Yep.
The
true.
Stephen King book.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
there's I think that's the sequel, right?
Yeah, that was the second one with
Yeah.
Alexis Arquette when
Okay, I didn't see the
the
movie.
guy.
Oh, you know what? I was in Scares at Care at the time that Alexa Arquette passed away,
Oh.
and David Arquette was there, like right,
Hmm.
he was signing autographs, and he got the call, and he had to leave, and that was the saddest thing I heard, like like oh,
Oh,
because
I
it was
super.
all over the news that Alexis died, and I was like shit, like
Yeah.
I totally understood why
Hmm.
David left, and I didn't get his autograph or anything. And I wouldn't have wanted to talk to him that day anyway.
Hmm.
That's a day that like he was sad. But anyway, yeah, Alexis Arquette is great in that movie.
Yeah. I loved Alexis Arquette and everything.
Yeah, I miss her. But then there's like wedding singer, great in wedding singer. But
Oh.
anyway, like that's getting off topic. Um, so yeah, so they're not creepy. They're just looking at them and they're
Hmm.
saying, "Oh my God, they're creepy," and it felt like everything that the director tried to do, he did everything wrong. You
Mm-hmm.
know? Like, did you guys notice that at times the audio would be continuing to go, like somebody would be talking or whatever, and then
Mm-hmm.
like there'll be shots of like other stuff happening, that have nothing to do with anything. Like they're just random shots that they probably got. Because if you don't know about filmmaking, what you do this thing called coverage, and you usually shoot other things just in case audio doesn't match with people's lips or whatever. But you shoot like lots of different coverage in case.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly it's usually something that makes sort of sense to the story or something. But this time it just felt awkward at times. Like there'll be like them at them talking to Lila at um the waitress that we'll get to in a second, but like she'll all of a sudden be talking to her, and then they'll cut to the sheriff doing something random, and it's him doing something random in silence while the audio of them talking is happening. It's just weird. Like I feel like the director, even though he had done a lot of films before this, I don't think he like either cared or he put like too much into it, like
Mm-hmm.
figuring things out. Did you notice that stuff, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. I think again in filming many things before, I think that there was just it was very sloppy
Yeah.
to
So,
kind of reflect what you're saying.
yeah.
I feel like there could have been more opportunities to edit better. I mean, I worked with this great DP named Grant Osmond, to call him out, who like was there on set and multiple things that I've filmed, and he edited later, and I feel like he got it. Like everything was edited crisp and clean, and I feel like, to your point, in watching this, stupid hiccups, in watching this, I feel like there was opportunities to be a little more crisp
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in some of these scenes for sure. But I think,
definitely.
but I think honestly, like in editing my own podcast before, it's a lot of freaking work, as you probably know, Jonathan.
I
And
actually no, I'm very cheap about my editing. I don't edit anything.
oh, you don't?
Like I don't. Well, all I do is I edit. I put it in. I put the music in first or whatever. I put the music in. I put the onto the end and everything. That's it. I put it out. I do not
That's
cut.
pretty impressive,
I
though.
I what you hear is what we hear.
Okay, well,
Thing.
that's
So it's
good.
how
I
I
give you
view it.
credit for that.
You know.
But like,
Yeah. Go ahead.
but I mean, and listen, and editing my own podcast is not a lot of work, so I can't even imagine editing like an actual film segment. So,
Yeah.
but Grant Osmond, again, to his record, his credit, you know, was the DP, but he also edited, and he just did an amazing job of just making everything clean. You know,
Yeah.
so when I see movies like this, to your point, it's like could have been done a lot better.
They could have done a lot better. What do you think, Anna? Do you think like the
I think
editing and
it could.
that
I think it could have been looked over a couple of times by multiple people to be like, "Hey, you forgot to do this."
you guys forgot a scene with the at the end with the chick. What do you mean? What do you mean? Like you kind of mention her, but
Yep,
nothing
just
happens
poof,
with that.
disappeared. Maybe she's
Doesn't
gonna be like the new
I,
possessee.
I think that was sort of their plan, but
Mm,
it doesn't come off that way. It like the way you handle that is like you do that like you set something up. There was no
mm.
setup. You know,
No, it was
um.
just, "Oh, we're gonna talk about her." Then, boop,
So the
bye. It's like, what? Is it over?
so we meet Lila, and I liked her. Thought she
Yeah.
was very cute. She did a good job with everything. I was kind of sad that. I mean, I'm sure most actors, as you know, both know because you're both actors, love to have death scenes and everything. But then when the audience really cares about the character, they don't want them to die, right? And stuff. So, but the actors are like, hey, I would love to have a death scene. Not the kind of death scene that Lila gets, and we'll get to that later when we get to that part. But you want a good death scene.
Mhm.
And I'm sure you guys both have felt the same way about that. I would imagine. So, um, Lila, we introduce her. She's about to tell everybody, but she's interrupted. She's not able to tell the story or what's going on. She keeps getting interrupted as Anna pointed out before. And then they end up leaving. There's more to that. I'm not going to go into all of it. They go to the house. The house is just a normal house, you know. Out in the middle, they probably found this house and out in the middle of nowhere and decided to make a whole movie about it. And that's probably what happened. Is like, hey, I'm gonna be gone for the weekend or the week. DG want to shoot a movie in my house? You know? And they're like, yes, I can get a whole script made about that, and we'll just shoot the first draft because, it won't matter how bad it is, because people will still watch it. Because it got Corey Haim and Mario Lopez. Like literally, I think that was the draw for most people. Had I not introduced this to you, I bet Anna would watch this movie because Corey Haim is in it. Like if you were just looking up Corey Haim, you're like, oh, he's in a horror film. Let me
Yeah,
watch it.
I would have watched it.
Yeah.
I'm
So there you
shocked
go.
I didn't see it before now. Because, I
Huh.
mean, when I was like 14 to 16, I watched everything he did.
No.
But this
But
one, I don't remember seeing this at my video store. Even when I worked there, I never ran across it.
I don't know if I ever did. Because this came out in 97
Hmm.
and I started working in my video store in 2000.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to remember if I ever came across. I don't think so. I don't think we had this. If we
Hmm.
did, it would be a VHS of it.
Yeah. And
And
I
just,
went through every VHS at our shop, at our
yeah,
store, and I never ran across it.
this might have been something you'd have to like order to get, It
Mhm.
wasn't like something that was very, very big. Though I did look it up, it cost $1 million to make this movie.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was $1 million back in 97.
Uh-huh.
So counting with inflation, that could be like 2 to 3 million now, or more. So it's kind of shocking that they made that movie for that much.
Hmm.
At least that's what I found, what I read. That could be an exaggeration, it could be less, but
Hmm.
so they had some money with this movie. It's just unfortunately, I don't think it played many screens.
No, I
And
think to your point, excuse me for a hiccup here.
eh,
Damn it. But like as well as I do, like there's people that make movies for like 30,000 now. And you look at someone like Brad Thomason, right? He makes movies for like $10,000.
are you sure it's ten
But
thousand? Sometimes I'm like, damn, it costs like $10. Like it's stuff. I mean, because he really just makes whatever, like, and then
well,
that's
and I
that's
mean,
a
I guess
pretty
I
good
guess
thing to make a whole movie for $10.
I mean and the I guess the positive side is that he actually gets them out there and puts them on Blu-rays and on streaming services.
That
So
is very true.
there's other people that film movies that never get produced and never get out there. So at least Brad and you and I have talked about this before. Even though
Hmm.
they're very cheaply done, like he actually gets them out there. So to me, that that's better than the other people that haven't done them at all. So, but it's just amazing to me how cheap some of these people do these movies for. So to your point, $1 million back in 1998 was actually not bad.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so they go to the house. The house is whatever. They're it was awkward when they showed them like sleeping at night because I was just like, what is going on? Like everybody's sort of like some people are on the floor and some
Hmm.
people were like on beds, whatever, and whatnot. And then there were things like and then you saw like I guess the computer was on,
Hmm.
but like and was the ghost typing at that time? And
I
what is
think
the
so.
ghost?
Yeah.
What is the ghost? I don't know.
It's the
Um,
evil.
it's the evil spirit of. the lake, I guess. I don't know. It's supposed to be like some kind of Native American spirit. And they
Mhm.
keep saying Indian, which is not PC today. You have to call them Native Americans, which is what they are, and everything. So, understandably, but at this time, it was very a movie that was not very PC anyway. There were, I mean, I don't know. It was almost PG a lot of times, uh,
Mhm.
compared to what it should have been. Um, now, to go back to something Anna said, which is something I think I even said to her before, was like, I was telling her I was about 45 minutes in and nothing happened, right? And then literally right after I said that was the first attack on Lila and
Yeah.
everything. That was the goofiest attack I've ever seen. Like, because you don't see the wolf, because, okay, so let me explain this. There's a wolf, and the first time we see the wolf, Lila's walking home
Mhm.
from work, you know, by herself or whatever. And you see the wolf, and the wolf is, I'm gonna call it stock God, I had the freaking thing on my head. Stock image, stock video wolf,
Yeah. Stock
because
footage.
stock footage. Thank you. Stock footage wolf. So we had stock footage wolf. That's obviously they got it from somewhere, and it was just a wolf that was just howling or walking around or whatever. And then they would cut to her walking and then cut back to the wolf. And it would look like the wolf was there. And then they would have the wolf of vision and the wolf trying to come after him, which was just ridiculous and stuff. But the wolf never came there. She couldn't find it. The wolf, she could see the wolf, whatever, and nothing happened the first time. You know, she was walking home from school, or home from work. Then, um, we see it again, and she's running from the wolf or whatever, and then she trips and falls, obviously, because that's what every horror film has, the trip and fall. And then she turns around, and instead of just getting back up and running, she's attacked by this thing, but we don't ever see, there's no paws or no anything, it's just, or claws, it's just literally her going ah, and
And
then
then blood shows up.
and then blood shows up because they'll cut to the wolf or something, or whatever it was, and cut back to her, and then blood would be on her that time, and it was just ridiculous. Uh, just bad, bad. Like that was the worst editing slash direction I've ever seen in a like I don't know what that because for the longest time I thought this was a werewolf movie, by the way. Uh,
Oh.
because I don't know where I saw the wolf, but I saw the wolf before, and I was like, oh, just. But then I'm glad it wasn't because Corey Haim already did a werewolf movie, and you can't starring Gary Busey from a Crack in the Floor, called Silver Bullet that
Hmm.
Stephen King did, his movie is based on his book, and that is such a much better movie. Like honestly, don't watch this movie. Go watch Silver Bullet. Period. Um,
Well,
I
the cover of this one, it looked like some type of pig person. So I
yeah,
was like, what is this, a killer pig? So I didn't
no.
expect.
Well, I think the killer pig thing was supposed to be the woman, right, at the end,
Yeah.
because she had that like melted face thing.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Yeah, which like she possessed that girl, but yeah, we're not gonna go. I guess I'm not gonna go into if we went to the whole thing, it would take us like forever. So I'm just gonna kind of skip around to parts that I hated. Um, so I don't think there was any redeeming quality in this movie. Like the acting was decent at times.
Hmm.
Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Fair. Yes. Yes, I'd agree with that. It wasn't, listen again, Jonathan. I know I've called you out on this before for making me watch a lot of like crazy movies. Like this was not tolerable to watch. I felt like it was okay. It wasn't horrible. The acting was okay. Okay, the story was okay. And again, what the hell is the name of that movie you made me watch with that comedian?
Yeah, I thought you were gonna bring that one up. High Strung. Yeah. I
What
love
was
that
it?
movie. I don't High Strung. I love that
Yeah, I
movie.
was trying. I know. I hated that movie so much, but I feel like I'm just being honest. And listen, I
Yeah.
appreciate it because I feel like, listen, I appreciate doing the Hitchcock movies too. Whenever
Yeah,
I
because now
watch that,
all of a sudden you're doing good movies, right?
yeah,
You
right,
know.
right. So, but like, you've made me watch some just random stuff, and like, I feel like this one was not bad.
Well,
It
And
this
was
one's a thousand times better than Feral Man.
what the
right.
hell is
And that
Feral Man?
that was the one we
So-
you guys both did
oh shit,
Yeah.
you're
together.
right. You're right. Yes, you're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was
So I feel like
so much better than that. Because that one I was like, oh, when's it gonna be over?
I'm
right. So
surprised
I feel
about that because I love that movie too, but I mean, I I just hated this movie so much. I don't know. Like I
so.
because I think I think it's because I had like this had so much potential, and I think that makes it the worst. When
Well,
it
especially because Corey Haim was in it, right? So you're and
Yeah.
Mario Lopez.
Mario Lopez and Bo Hoskins, Hoskins, whatever. Like they both were, and they were all in it. They all did a great job, uh, as they could, you know. Um, so come on, man. Like there were things like there were Mario Lopez gets attacked or whatever, and uh, oh no, he gets the bear trap,
Yeah.
and he
Which was
has to
really
like
tiny.
really tiny bear
What is
trap, the
that, a
tiniest.
rabbit trap?
Probably because they said animal trap because
Yeah.
they were very clear not to say it was a bear trap because there's no
Yeah.
way that was a bear trap. And then they just get it off like that, like it was like a piece of cake.
Yeah.
If
He
you
just kind of
ever,
kicked it off. He
yeah,
flicked his foot and it fell off. I was like, what?
fun. There's scenes like that where I'm just like, what is going on? Like, why is this? And then he's limping or whatever, and he's trying to be like, I'm not like an invalid, and then he gets attacked and killed by something we never see, you
Nope.
know, and then she gets free, runs off, and then she dies, and it's just, or so she dies, but later apparently she's still alive, which makes no sense, but
No.
whatever. And and the girl wants to play hide and seek, and she, and how old are these people supposed to be? I mean, they're supposed to
I
be
know. I was
in,
trying to figure it out because you see a tattoo on Corey Haim's arm. He's got his
right.
nose pierced.
So they're supposed to be in college, right? Because they
So,
do mention the dorms, and
mhm,
stuff. So it's like, all right, so it's college age kids.
mhm.
And the one couple, like I forgot what the stupid kid that I absolutely hated his character, Bobby. He was so
Ah,
obnoxious and so boring, at the same time. I don't even know how you can be obnoxious and boring, but he pulled it off. Um, he has this bit in it where he's making out with the girl like they were like 12. I'm like, oh my God, this is the most unromantic, uncool, ugly looking make out session I've ever seen in an attic before. Oh, and then we cut later and we cut to him shirtless, but she's not because
yeah.
that was not in the thing. Oh, speaking of which, another thing I forgot about was the scene where the girl is like, I guess it was the girl that the short hair girl or whatever. She sees the other girl who apparently they thought she was a it was stuck up or something. But
Hmm.
I'm like, she did not come off stuck up. Like I'm like, I would have loved for her to be more stuck up, you know? She actually seemed to be having fun with everybody or trying to have fun with everybody. She wasn't stuck up. I would have liked her to be like that, but she comes into the room and she's like, "Oh my God," right? Like I thought you were you could have been one of the guys. I'm like, if you're gonna change, don't keep your door open,
Yeah.
like wide open that any boy or girl or whatever can come in and like just things like that that just like just drove me nuts watching it. I was like, how Mark said it drove him nuts seeing the jeans.
Mhm.
Everything in this movie drove me nuts. Um, and this scene drove me nuts. Here, so the scene is they took Lila away, and then the lady's like, I guess she was so happy this was her big break, big scene. But she's like, Sheriff, you gotta do something about them, blah blah blah, and I'm just like, it's
Yep.
so bad.
This has to stop.
Yes, the acting is worse than I've seen in a $1 million movie ever,
Right. Fair. Fair.
Yeah, it was terrible. So, ah, I don't know. I get you. I get you're saying, Mark, that that you had seen worse movies that like, that you hated, like or whatever. I made
Yeah.
Paul watch a movie once called 8 Days a Week. He absolutely hated that movie. It's like Carrie Russell's in it, and it's literally about a dude who like hangs out at this girl's lawn and
Jeez.
like he waits like his plan was to stay there for the whole summer until she dated him, like fell in love or whatever, because that's what his uncle did, your grandpa did to meet, to get his grandma, was he waited outside her window for like, for like a whole summer and stuff like that. I'm like, that is like nowadays, especially that is we're gonna call the cops on you, buddy.
Yeah,
Get off
that's like some
on.
stalker stuff.
And like everybody seemed fine with it, you know? Like her parents seemed okay with it, and like the boyfriend was mad about it, but like she had a boyfriend, by the way,
Mhm.
like all these things that like are like it's just terrible. So I that was a bad movie. I didn't remember it being that bad, until we rewatched it. And I'm like, okay. So 8 days a week is Paul's high strung. I and I don't
Is it based on the Beatles song or what?
well, I think they use that title, but I don't think it actually even had the music in there or
Jesus. Okay.
anything. I think they just used the title because I forgot what the original. I think there was an original title for it, like something else, and then they changed it to that. It's from the guy who did a better movie, I thought, which is um what was it called, like 100 Girls, you know, which is about a guy who works for like a maintenance thing for like the dorms and stuff, and he gets stuck in an elevator and a blackout in the elevator with this girl. He doesn't know what she looks like, but they have like the greatest, conversation. Then they end up having sex in the elevator while they're, everything's all blacked out and
Oh
power's
wow.
out.
Okay. Wow.
And when he wakes up from it, though, she's gone, and all he has is her panties. So he has to like look for her.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
He has to. It's like
That's a little
Cinderella. It's
explicit,
like
but
a
okay.
perverted Cinderella.
Something like I guess so. Oh, jeez.
So he has to go through all their rooms to look for a matching pair of panties or
What the
something.
hell? Okay. That's a little explicit.
But it has like a great cast. Like it's got Katherine Heigl's in it, Larissa Olenek, Jonathan Tucker is the main guy. It's got a great cast of like people who are at one point like bigger names, or whatever. And at that
Sure.
time, we're pretty big names. I mean, Catherine Heigl was
Of
getting
course.
there,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
Mm,
Makes
and-
sense.
yeah, but yeah, it was terrible. It's terrible, but it's much more fun than 8 days a week. 8 days a week makes me cringe now. I'm like, I,
Jesus.
I
Okay.
bet Carrie Russell would not like to talk about that movie,
Yeah. I guess
nowadays. Maybe she does.
okay.
Maybe she liked it. I don't know. Maybe that's why she signed on to it. Maybe Mario Lopez likes this movie. I don't know. Like maybe he had a good time making like because we see things differently than what the filmmakers and the actors would see, right?
Mhm.
The actors would see maybe they had a fun time.
Mhm.
And when the movie came out, they're like, oh man, it kind of sucks that it came out this bad because it was fun to shoot this movie, you know?
Mhm.
Nobody, no actor signs on to a movie well knowing it's a piece of shit, like they don't, or whatever, or not that good or whatever. Um, so nobody signs on to that like that. People
Mhm.
just it just ends up like crap, things just didn't work out or, whatever. So I don't
Mhm.
know. Um, were there anything else that you guys thought about like that we missed on? Like, because we didn't talk about like the ending, but like, the one girl gets possessed
Mhm.
and she becomes the mom. Like she's possessed as the mom, I guess. I don't know. A lot of it didn't make any sense. I think we lost Mark.
Oh yeah.
Mark, we lost your
I'm
video.
still here. I'm still here. Sorry.
Oh, one thing I want to know is okay, the
Sorry about that.
cop is trying to burn the house. It won't
Yes.
burn. And then the Native American is like, or the German dude is like, he looks like part of my family.
I know.
Seriously. That's nuts. But he was like, and the curse is lifted. It's like, where is the curse lifted? I mean, the house did not burn. So, no,
Right.
the
What
evil's gone. That's what he said. The
he said,
evil is
evil's
gone.
gone, but I thought like
Yeah.
I
But I
noticed
was like,
the
but the house
lake.
didn't burn. And the lake bubbled. I was like, the evil's in the lake. So there was a lot that they just didn't finish. I wish they'd finish it or at
Well,
least make a sequel and fix it.
he said the evil is gone for now,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
And so like setting up for a potential sequel, right?
yeah.
And stuff. But like, this movie probably didn't do very well, probably went direct to video and didn't do as well as they were hoping it would do. And B, they they set up a sequel terribly.
Yeah.
Like you said, the girl is, there's one missing girl, that we don't know about that never comes back, never, it could have been cool if it said the evil is gone for now, and then we see the girl coming after the sheriff or something, running after the sheriff or something.
Yeah.
Like that would have been cool, but no, they didn't even do anything like that. They just kind of left it as like the evil is gone for now. Okay, credits. That's
Yeah.
you
Like when
know,
it was over, it was like one of those no country for old men moments where you're like, that was it.
hmm.
Really? I sat here for that.
that that's got a
But that was a
Criterion
good
release now.
movie. That was a good movie until the end. You're like, what did I just watch?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
everybody in the theater was looking around like, did we just all fall asleep and black out and miss something? So,
the Coen brothers are very well known for doing that stuff, like
yeah.
making something weird happen,
Mhm.
but they're
Well, that
usually
was
pretty
my
good
first
at
of
it.
theirs to see. And then
Oh,
I started seeing their movies after that. I said, oh, okay, I get it.
yeah. A lot of
Yeah.
there's Fargo is a little weird, and
Hmm.
um what's the one that my parents loved? The one with George Clooney.
Oh, brother,
Uh
where art thou?
Oh Brother Where Art Thou? Yeah, my
Ah,
parents love that
you didn't
movie.
like that?
No, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love all. Did you, Anna?
I liked it.
Yeah. It was a
And I got
class.
to meet John Turturro from it.
Did you? Where'd you meet
Yeah,
him?
he came in our tattoo shop and got his brother a tattoo. His credit cards
Eh,
declined.
what?
Three of them.
So
He
how
was
did they pay
nice,
for
but
the?
he
How did
like
he?
called every like 30 minutes to check on his brother to make sure his brother wasn't acting crazy. I'm like, what's he supposed to be doing? And then turns out, yeah, he ended up in the news. It's like, oh, okay, wow, yeah, he's a little,
But he
huh,
wasn't.
he's a little wild. So,
Yeah.
but John
Wow.
Turturro was really nice. He took a picture with me too.
Nice.
Yeah,
You have all these great like, because every time you say I met somebody, I'm like, it was at the tattoo shop. It had to have
it was.
been.
Oh, the tattoo shops are the best places to be in New
Yeah,
York.
especially New York. Yeah, because people are
Yeah,
looking
you meet
for tattoos
everybody.
out there, and there's like lots of, you're telling me lots of stories, and I'm just like, oh, I'm so jealous. Like you got to meet that person. Oh,
See, in
like
California, it's all porn actors. In New York, it's actual actors.
I
So,
I lived in Van Nuys, and I lived in this apartment, and my roommate was gone, staying at her boyfriend's for a while, and this girl Lila, and next door one day, I'm just like hanging out, all of a sudden I hear. And I'm like, damn, somebody's getting it on. And then I realized I'm in like the literal porn capital of the world. Van Nuys is where they do lots and lots of porn. So
I
they
know
they
that.
could have been making something next door. I could have knocked on and said, "Do you need a cameraman? I'll jump in and help you guys out."
Like, you need guys
Um,
to stand in the corner and stare.
if you guys could just make me a peephole, I mean, that'll work. But anyway, yeah, so no, nothing like that happened. Um, but yeah, so to finish off about this movie,
Oh yeah.
like I thought the acting was decent, but
Hmm.
that to me that couldn't save it. The direction was horrible, like I Ralph, I don't know, maybe because I've only seen this and I saw Bloody, was it
Yep.
Bloody Camp or whatever
Hmm.
it was, and I was like, it wasn't great, but it wasn't like this is, and I plan on doing that at some point. This was worse than that, in my opinion. That was pretty bad. And then the writing was awful. The writing made no sense whatsoever. Um, and stuff like just things happen that just never get explained. That's
Hmm.
also part of the direction, and then the editing was terrible. Like I don't think there was really, I mean, I like the lake, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was cute looking, and the location was decent, and they actually filmed. I forgot where exactly. It's like the people. There's this guy on, I think it was IMDb that reviewed it, and he actually was from that town, and he was happy to like see a movie that was made in his town. But even he said it was awful. It's just he was happy to see it. And he actually gave it 3 stars. Probably just because it's, shot in his town or whatever. Um,
Hmm.
most other people gave this like 1 star, and yeah, it got some bad reviews. But like you said, Anna, you like this better than Feral Man.
Hmm.
So let me see what we gave Feral Man. I kind of want to look at the ladder of stink and see where everything is here.
Well, the thing about Feral Man is they made it out to be a werewolf, and he was just a dude. That's all there was to
Well,
it. He wasn't a werewolf.
I think
He
what
wasn't
I
a beast. He was just a guy with like mental problems.
that's true. But I think I warned Mark about that, I think, right? Like
Uh,
Mark had sort of known like it was gonna be more psychological
I mean, it
than
wasn't. I mean, it was. Yeah, it was okay. It was okay, but I think so. As far as acting's concerned, and again, I got to get rid of these goddamn hiccups. But excuse me for this, by the way. Like as an actor, when there's directors that say read this exactly as it is, it
hmm
comes across as stilted, right? It's like you're reading it exactly as it is. Whereas I feel like most of the actors, most of the directors that I work with, who are like, "Here's your scene, like just do this,"
hmm.
and allow me to ad lib and just kind of do my own thing. As
Hmm.
long as I end at the end, as long as like end at the end cues for the next actor, like that's when I feel like I'm at my best. So
Yeah.
I can't say what this movie was about, but I
Hmm.
will tell you that whenever I've been instructed to read verbatim, it's just not. It doesn't come across as that good. So
Hmm.
yeah.
I think
Um
I've only had to read a script like that 3 times. It's been one was just recently. The other
now
two were Donald Farmers.
yeah, Donald does that. And he tells you, he gives you line readings. That's what it's
Yes.
called. And it is he did that with like Jackie when Jackie worked on Dorm of the Dead and
Hmm.
and Chainsaw Cheerleaders and stuff.
Hmm.
Well, he didn't do it on Chainsaw Cheerleaders with her. I think she had more producing power and could basically
Hmm.
tell him like, I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying it like, she's even
Yeah, I
told
had to
me
have every
before.
word perfect when I said it, when I did my lines on
Right,
that.
like I even worked with her and I gave her in the movie The Dare, a short film that we did. I told her a particular line and she said, I don't really want to say that line. Do you mind if I say something different? And I said,
Mhm.
I don't mind, like I'm not, it's not going to make or break my movie if you don't, like if you don't change that line to how you feel more comfortable saying it. And I
Mhm.
think that's how most directors have to be is like, don't give people don't tell somebody how to say the line exactly because it's going to come off like they're trying to say the line exactly how you want them to say it.
Mhm.
You
Exactly.
can tell when somebody's being natural and when somebody's saying a line terribly,
Mhm.
and everything. So yeah, I hate that crap. But Donald Farmer is known for that, and I don't particularly subscribe to that mentality,
It's
you know.
really hard to do too, because sometimes you're like, I don't know how to make this sound good.
Yeah, I don't know how to make
So
this sound like you.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
You're a dude, I'm a girl. Like what? Like doesn't make any sense. Uh, uh,
No, you're right. You're right. So just thanks for letting me share that part of it.
yes. So yeah, so the feral man, by the way, uh got a 4 by me because I really liked it, 5 by Mark, and 6 by Anna. So Anna liked it least than we all did and everything. And it seemed like Mark kind of liked it like meh, and I liked it a little bit more than that because I think it had more of a thing for me, it had more nostalgia for me than for you guys.
Mhm.
Um, so with that being said, we're gonna go right into the stinkometer because I think it's about that time now. And the stinkometer is a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being very, very good, 10 being stinky, like a bad smelling fart, basically. And so the worse the fart, the worse smell, you would give it like a 10, or whatever, or higher. Sometimes you might be so subtle, like you'll give it a 4.5 or 5.5 if you can't decide between one or the other. So with that being said, I'm gonna start it off and I'm gonna give this a 10. Like I absolutely, as you guys all heard, I just did not like this movie. And I
Mhm.
wanted to because, the cast, who did a great job with what they could, but that just to me that didn't save it. Just all the wackiness and weirdness and shit and stuff that happens in the movie that makes absolutely no sense, I just I was like just sloppy, sloppy, sloppy. And we can, you know, like you can fix that, you know? Story, just fix it in the story. Like that's why a lot of writers are on set constantly changing things around to like make it work, you know?
Mhm.
Like somebody should have looked at that script, a script supervisor. They had that $1 million. They should have had a script supervisor. Look at that, and go, whoa, wait a minute. We don't have like a ending to this, you know?
Mhm.
Because there's supposed to be like, like whatever happened to that girl? Like, and unless they shot something and then just never put it in,
Yeah.
or they're going to and they just never got to. I don't know what it was, but it was bad. So I'm gonna give it a 10, which, it's pretty bad, but all right, so I'm gonna let Anna go next.
I'm gonna give it a 7 just because I'm still confused about what I saw.
But that's
I
giving
mean,
it
the
higher. It's
actors,
giving it
yeah,
higher
it is
than
higher than that, but it's like the actors did their best. But it's like I'm confused. I want to know what happened to the girl. I want to know what the deal was with the Native American.
yeah,
I mean,
made no sense.
just no. I mean, I want to know, did Corey Haim go to a loony bin for sure, or did they just drop him out in another part of the woods and say, go have fun? I mean, there
I
was
mean,
just too much open-ended stuff that I'm confused about that I want to know what happened.
no. All right, good. So it's a 10 and a 7. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, good question. And Berger just joined me for my final discussion of Paper
Yep, he's
Four.
he's
So
like, hey, I gotta be here for the stinkometer.
no, I thought again, and I don't want to compare it to previous films that you made me watch, Jonathan, but it was better than the other stuff that I've watched
Uh-huh.
before with you. But I will say that I agree that it's there was a lot of unanswered questions, so I give it a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Okay.
Yes.
So it's not like a five, which would be like meh, you know?
Yeah,
It's a little above, like a little worse than
correct.
meh.
Because of the
Yeah.
unanswered questions has been discussed, etc. Yes, agreed.
I was trying to think of like one other, like, Anna, were you part of, was it the one I did with the Leonardo DiCaprio movie?
Yes.
Okay, so you were in that one. So I've
Hmm.
given you some star-studded movies,
I
so
think
far.
mostly I liked that one okay because
Oh,
it was like my type of film.
it was easier. It was a better movie, better overall. It
Mhm.
People were still assholes and stuff in it.
Yeah.
So we're
Oh,
talking about a movie
Leonardo
called,
DiCaprio was, oh
yeah,
my gosh. I would have
there's
stomped on his foot if I had to work with him and he acted like that.
all right. So the movie was called Don's Plum, and it's not very easily like I don't think it's available on Tubi or anything.
I don't
Might
think so.
be now. It might be now because
It was hard to find the back then too.
yeah, back then it was.
Yeah.
I think they might have actually released it now because I think they had like a specific time that they had to wait till they could release it in America
Hmm.
and stuff. But
I think the thing that annoyed me the most about that was it was so bright, my eyes were hurting by the end of it.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a black and white movie too, so that's
Mhm.
so funny.
And like super high exposure.
Mhm. But yeah, you might like that one. But you would respect it, Mark, a little bit more. But it's basically about a bunch of Hollywood kids who are not they're not playing themselves, but they're playing like sort of versions of themselves,
Hmm.
Okay.
exaggerated versions. So it's like Leonardo DiCaprio, Tobey Maguire, Kevin Connolly, Jeremy Sisto, who we did that one quick review, which I don't think you really liked that much either. The father was in memory of my father, Mark, if I'm correct, for
Oh
like
yeah,
quick review
correct. Yes,
Thursday.
correct.
Yeah, so I've made Mark watch some movies that I mean because in memory of my father I had
No,
never seen, so I didn't know, and
I'm not offended by it. I'm not upset about it. It gave me a chance to get exposed to some different films for sure.
yeah, films that you normally wouldn't watch on your own. Um,
Correct.
like that high strung movie you would have turned off in like 5 seconds of the movie,
Yes,
but
exactly.
normally, but you had to watch it, and
No,
then
listen, I appreciate it because it's a good chance to watch some different things. I agree.
and also it's a good chance to discuss it and discuss what you did not like about it or whatever, and what and understand that everybody has their own opinion. So us saying like me saying a 10, and a 7 and a 6, it's pretty high up there on the stinkometer scale, but like, I don't know. I was kind of shocked because I thought I wasn't sure how you guys were gonna view this movie,
Hmm.
and everything.
It
It
wasn't. It wasn't horrible. That's my
Yeah,
statement.
it wasn't incompetently exactly made, but it's pretty badly made. Like it should have been better, you
Yeah,
know? And
fair.
that I think once again, the fact that it had so much potential and it wasted it
Hmm.
on goofy shit sometimes that I'm like, and everybody gets killed and everybody gets killed off camera, when they get killed.
Hmm.
No, you don't ever see anybody get, get killed. You see
Yeah.
off camera and then they have blood on them afterwards,
Hmm.
or whatever. And you know, it's so bad. But I mean, I will say that the witch thing was kind of cool looking, but like still, those things didn't save the movie. To me, in my opinion, it just made me more depressed that this should have been better.
Hmm.
And I want to see more of Ralph's work. I want to see him direct more stuff. I'm hoping that um all all the other movies that he did hopefully are a little better, maybe. I don't know, than this. So with that, I will say thank you guys so much for
Yeah.
coming on the show. and chatting with me. This was a lot of fun. As I said, this will happen throughout the season. That I'll get two other guests on. Generally probably another guy, another girl to discuss whatever else. I did that a few years ago, and I guess last year we just tried to switch it up and do something different.
Mhm.
But it burned Paul out so bad. He was like, I want my Tuesdays back, and everything because he watches baseball, so he needs his Tuesdays to just
Uh,
be able like where other during the week he needs to be able to chill out. Yeah.
mhm.
But so thank you guys so much. This was a lot of fun. And join us I guess it'll be Paul's episode next week. So tune in for that. But until then, everybody, hope you guys enjoyed this and we'll catch you on the flip side. All right, everybody. Bye.